capacity. Peter Guber happens to be the owner of the defending world champion LA Dodgers, but that's not all he does, because he's also the man behind the Tigers. And I don't mean the Detroit Tigers, I mean this tiger. Recognize that? Peter owns Mandalay Pictures. Yep, he makes movies and he owns pro sports teams. He's basically living every 10-year-old's dream. But just like pretty much everyone else on the planet, COVID has taken a heavy toll on his industries, plural. Entrepreneur Peter Guber joins me now. It's good to have you, Peter. Thanks for doing this. I know you don't do a whole lot of television, but I just have this one big question for you. Why don't you pick a lane?
Yeah, well, I swerve. I go left and right. The variegation, the change is what makes it so interesting. I picked a lane for the first 20 years of my career, and then I decided swerving was better.
Well, I guess it has worked out for you. I was reading your statistics, and I was pretty surprised. You have grossed in the billions with your movies, and you've, I guess, amassed somewhere like 50 Academy Award nominations, including movies like Batman, Rain Man, Flashdance. I want to just show a quick compilation of some of the movies that you have chosen and that have clearly made it into the American zeitgeist. Have a look at this.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Kill you. You idiot!
One of my favorite scenes right there. We just cut it off at Rain Man. So I guess the question would be, Peter, if you're a sports fanatic to the point where you own 4 professional sports teams, how do you know what to choose in the executive suite when it comes to movies that are going to be hits?
Well, movies are a heart experience. They're an art experience, but they're a heart experience. When you start out deciding what project to develop, the script, the idea, it's a proposition. It's a journey. It takes several years to get a movie gestated and produced. And a lot of things change in the world during that time. So you got to be kind of lucky. You're kind of hitting a moving target all the time. You don't know what the appetite of the public is at that particular time that your movie comes out. So when you start the journey, you think, this is in. When you finish the journey, that's out and something else is in. So you got to get a little lucky. You know, it's not just about, it's always about talent, but it's not just about talent, it's about timing and good fortune. And I think I've had my share of that.
Well, listen, I don't know how much luck plays into it, but you seem to be on a lucky streak because these are really big movies. I'm curious about what you just said, that things change and decisions would change. Do you think that you would choose to make a movie like Midnight Express or Batman or Rain Man if you were making the decision today?
Probably not. I mean, just the marketplace has changed so much, and the medium that delivers to the audience, whether it's a streaming medium or a theatrical medium or a television medium, has changed it. And the way the projects are released to the marketplace and the competitive nature of other offerings in media, all of that has changed and has kind of scrambled the eggs. You don't see the yolk anymore. And so what you really have is the benefit of a lot of different venues to release films and stories, to reach niche audiences and broad audiences. But yes, the marketplace has changed, the audience appetite has changed, the talent has changed, and my proclivity to picking pictures is also challenged because, you know, I'm much older now. The audience is probably around 18, 19, 20, 21. And other than my children, I don't have a vehicle really that really touches that the same way that I did back then.
It's interesting you would say that. And I wonder if you also imagine that, you know, our national conversation is evolving so much faster now, right? Especially since we have social media, we've got phones in our hands at all times. We're literally being informed every minute of the day, for better or for worse. So do you think that, let's just say the three major stories this year, Black Lives Matter and George Floyd, and then also COVID, and then also a change in the administration. Do you think those would inform how you would pick a movie?
Yes, they definitely are informative. You have to be aware of what's going on in the entire biosphere, so to speak, of what's happening in a global culture. And so you're always aware of that. But guessing what's going to happen 2 years out, Karnak had trouble doing that. 2 years out. I don't really have the ability to prognosticate. So I really come from what moves me, what moves my heart, what moves my emotion. What do I think will connect, not just connect with audiences? What will make people be butts in seats? Well, that's a pastime right now that's gone. But butts in seats, to leave their home, drive 10 miles, wait 20 minutes, and sit for 2 hours in a movie theater. That's different than being dismissed by 1 millimeter of an inch. You're watching a movie, you don't like it, you're just disintermediated by the audience. So there's different audiences consuming different kinds of products in different ways. So you have to be pretty nimble if you're going to operate in this new sphere.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It's really daunting when you put it that way. The amount of effort and money it takes to go and take your family to a movie versus shutting one off that's in front of you on the big screen with, without even so much as taking a step. So one of the franchises that caught my eye when I was researching your body of work was the movie franchise I Know What You Did Last Summer. As I saw the numbers, man, anybody out there, even those who don't have a business degree, it cost $17 million to make that movie, and the worldwide box office was, I hope I'm not off by a decimal here, but $125 million. And anybody can tell you in fifth grade that that's a winner. That seems to be the kind of movie it wouldn't matter, right? It's so divorced from reality that I would wonder if you just make that decision no matter what's happening in the news, how old you are, or who the stars are.
That's why they make them over and over again, and that's why they make remakes and sequels. That's true. You find the core essence of the story, the narrative story, or the character, or the particular piece of casting. And remember, the audience revolves. Every 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years, there's a whole new audience that comes up. Or 10 years, a whole new audience that isn't familiar with the other film, but they have the same basic tastes and judgments and values around certain kinds of content, so you can reignite them. That's why all these companies have these libraries, which are very valuable, and they scour them to see what they can remake, redo, reframe. I had a film, Color Purple, that we made back with Spielberg back in the 80s, all right? It was 11 Academy Award nominations. You never think they'd remake it. Well, they're remaking it now. So I'm not remaking it. Somebody else owns the rights now. I sold the picture. But the issue is always the stories turn. There's always a new audience for the story to tell an old story in a new way with new cast that attaches to a new audience, and the rhythm of making it, the filmmaker making it. The pace of the film is different, the music is different, the cast is obviously different, the environment can be different, and the sensibility of the filmmaker, the auteur who frames all of these things, is different than it was 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. Do you have any favorites in terms of actors who are out there right now, actors, actresses, or themes? Like, I'm just trying to pick your brain for where I think you might be going next.
Well, I think this business, they call it the state-of-the-art business. The idea of storytelling, visual storytelling, whether it's streaming or a theatrical motion picture. But I really think it's a state-of-the-heart business. You can't aim for people's heads or their wallets. That's a secondary element that you capture if you capture their heart. If the intentionality of the filmmaker and the content says something to those people that really resonates with their life, they get scared. We're in the emotional transportation business. We're trying to move audiences to feel, to react, not just to think. And then if they have the experience, that's what we do, emotional transportation renders an experience, then they share that with other people, called word of mouth. And that's really the most valuable resource for anybody in storytelling. They want to be able to develop a product that people live, breathe, touch, and tell. In the old days, water cooler conversation, communicate, whether it's by internet or by formal communication visually with people or familial conversation. And those people want that experience. That's what they're looking for. Oh, I'd like to laugh like that, or be scared like that, or be thrilled by that. And I think that's what movies do. It's today's tribal campfire. For 50,000 years, men and women sat around a campfire flickering images. That was the technology, and you told the story, and that helped deliver it. And all the technologies hereafter are still aimed the same way: storytelling.
Our shared experience, which I think we need more and more of, honestly. It feels like we're just so fractured in this country. But just while I looked at those pictures of Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise coming down the escalator in the matching tan suits, it made me wonder if there's any shot for a remake of Rain Man.
A number of people have tried. We sold our rights when I left one company to join another big company. You can always remake it, redo it, but it's best to find the thematic expression that's works today. To tell that story, to tell that theme today, you would have to update it. If you look at a film that's 10, 20, 30, 40 years old, you can watch it, but the rhythm of the film is different, the pacing is different, the music is different, the cast isn't as familiar, and the sensibilities in the marketplace are different. You know, the one thing about the movie theater that was so wonderful, different people of political, social, economic, ethnic basis would sit in the theater, 600 people, and laugh and cry together. There was something very compelling about that. Very different than television, where 1.6 people sit alone in front of an iPhone or in front of a television and watch a film. It's a communal experience, and it's the best told that way. I really believe there's something wonderful, and as you said, about that shared experience where there's more that unites us than separates us.
Well, and baseball's one of those things as well. So let me just switch gears, because when I talk to a guy like Peter Guber, I have to switch gears because you do so many things. So let's talk about your Dodgers. And in fact, let's talk about the final pitch in 2020. It was pretty exciting. We've got it actually on tape. We want to play that moment where, well, the world just exploded. Let's have a look at that.
Dave Roberts. And strike three. Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Dodgers have won it all in 2020, and then, you know, here we are, COVID, a year later. I have two questions about that. First, those moments are life-altering for the players. What are they for the owners?
Well, if you'll bear with me, people said, oh, aren't you lucky? Yeah, I'm fortunate, but I was in baseball for 28 years. The Dodgers hadn't won the World Series in something like 30 years, 34 years. I mean, think about that. In fact, the last 7 years, they won the division and the National League, and they're still lost in the World Series. So getting to the ultimate result of a championship in any sport is truly an act of daring do. You have to have so much talent, yes, but good fortune, health, everything to be able to make it. They play 162 games from start to finish. It's a giant journey. And so it's a thrilling experience to be there. We were in Texas where they played, and finally they won. Close doesn't count unless it's horseshoes. In baseball, you've got to win. You've got to win that championship. Yes, it's really exciting, and it was really thrilling. And, you know, you say that's what you play for. No, you don't play for that. You play for the whole experience, the whole year. You play for all the, you know, people that get joy out of being there in that communal experience, rooting for it. The magic about sport, different than movies. In movies, if you go to see Rocky, you go to the theater, you know who wins. You send your cousin to the theater, same guy wins. You send your girlfriend to the theater, same guy wins. You see it in a plane, same guy wins. You see it in an iPhone, same guy wins. The audience watches it that way. You go to a baseball game or a football game or a basketball game, different people win every single time. And therefore, the difference is the audience is more of a participant than a passenger. They're participating in the outcome. They think they make a difference in the outcome. They're two different types of entertainment. They seem very similar, but they're very different. They're really, really different. Winning and losing, winning and losing. And it's a challenge.
Aaron Sorkin, who is an award-winning, multi-award-winning screenwriter, has talked about sports that way. He says every single one of those games or sporting activities has myriad stories in it that would break your heart, crush your spirit, lift you up. That's why he loves writing, things like Moneyball. Hey, I got to take a break, Peter Guber, but when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about what it's like to be an owner, whether you're really, really in there or whether you sit back and let it happen. And I also want to talk a little more about how COVID has changed everything for the last year, but what about going forward? So coming back, more with Peter Guber. The LA Dodgers home opener is April 9th against the Washington Nationals. 20% of the tickets will be sold. because of COVID, and that comes out to about 11,000 fans. Peter Guber makes movies and he runs pro sports teams. He owns them. He's basically living every 12-year-old boy's dream. But these are two industries that COVID has really taken the boots to in the last year. Peter Guber is with me now to talk a little bit about that as well. Are we going to be okay after things start to resume? I mean, the hot dog vendors, the ticket agents, the ground crews, everybody who makes a living, including players and owners too. Are we going to recover properly, Peter?
Well, that's the big question. It's a breath-holding event. How long you can hold your breath for till you get to the surface, and where the surface seems to be is continuing to move. So it really is a question of what happens with the medical situation in the country or in the state or in the city, in case of L.A. or other cities that we own teams. It's always a question of that. It's a medical question, it's a political question, it's a social question. You know, the real quality of the question, I wished I could answer. I can't, and I've dealt with everybody in the hospitals in all of California. I'm on committees and task force, and I just don't have the answer. What I'm hoping is that we've peaked, and now we're going to be on a return to somewhat of normalcy. Will it happen in 3 months or 4 months or 6 months? I don't have the wisdom to be able to guess that. It requires greater wisdom than I have. What we have to do, though, is we have to push forward and try to have some normalcy, because these are fragile businesses to some extent. They're not without some peril. You take an audience and dehabituate them to go to movies or go to television or go to sports arenas or go to bars or go to restaurants. You don't know what'll happen. It's very challenging. I just don't know. I remember when we had a strike, the baseball had a strike. It took a couple of years for it to recover from that long period or interregnum of no fans and no games. So my hope is that the releasing of some of this pent-up desire, and now the government's allowing people to go in smaller numbers to stands, will at least reignite that and hopefully be a push to get back to what is the new normal.
That's interesting, because the Dodgers are allowing 20% capacity, but the Texas Rangers are like full gate, like go ahead, everybody in. And President Biden actually had something to say about that. Let me play this.
The Texas Rangers say there will not be any attendance restrictions in their stadium this season. That means it could be filled to capacity, Mr. President, 40,000 people with masks required except when actively eating and drinking. What are your thoughts on the Rangers' decision?
Well, that's a decision they made. I think it's a mistake. They should listen to Dr. Fauci and the scientists and the experts. But I think it's not responsible.
Wow. No one ever said sports wasn't partly political, huh, Peter?
Everything's political. Everything's political. And the truth is that there's a division and a diversion and a consideration and a challenge, and nobody has the exact answer. No one can forecast it all. But I do think that we've come to a point where there's some questionable elements. If we have the same rate in one state as the same rate in another state, and one state doesn't have the same prohibitions that the other state has, you begin to wonder, does one of them have it wrong? And that's what you have to think about. I really believe ultimately that the country will have to return to a somewhat more normal state. I mean, these businesses can't be out of business much longer and succeed.
Yeah, let me ask you something from our social media followers. Lots of people had questions for you. This one comes from someone named Tony G. And the question is, if you had to drop all but one endeavor, ooh, that's a tough one, what would it be? I hate to ask you to choose between your children, but that's really what you're being asked.
Yeah, it's really easy. I just eliminate all the flops. I take them out of my life. I take the pictures that didn't work out of my life. Of course, I just make hits. See, no, all flops are gone. That would be my wish.
That's pretty smart. I think we'd all say the same thing, but that's retrospect. That's in hindsight. If you have to look forward. Okay, how about this? Chris M. wants to know, for someone with so much success, what was your biggest professional mistake?
Well, I made a lot of mistakes. I mean, really, really ones. And some of them turned out to be hits and some of them turned out to be flops. So that's the interesting thing. Success has many fathers and failure has as an orphan. And so what I find myself saying is, what were the mistakes I made? I made career mistakes. I made picture mistakes. I made mistakes for players. I made mistakes for teams. I made mistakes for venues. I made mistakes all the time. But the truth is, I really believe this. It's really hard to say this. I really believe this. Mistakes are the learning kernel for future. You have to be able to deal with mistakes. You have to be able to deal with failure. Failure and success in sports and in movies are very close together. Inside of every great success are the seeds of abysmal failure. And inside of every failure, the seeds for success. So the idea of Roger Rabbit and Howard the Duck lived very